Hey, thanks for joining us. A couple things we want to talk about today. Some people are probably wondering, wait, why do you have Zach on? He's, agency owner. He's not really selling. But I was talking to you earlier, and one thing I love about you, dude, is like when we introduce something new, you try it. So like Zach's not out of the field. Now he's not in there every day of the week because he's running an agency, but we introduced, we started talking about telesales. Zach figures it out. He gets on and tries it. We do virtual. He does that, different lead types, whatnot, because, and I'll let you kind of answer, but I'm assuming because you can't teach your people how to do something you've not done, right?
Yeah, dude. And I played, I know you played ball in high school, and I can't remember if you played, college, community college or whatever. I played in high school and college. And one thing Sean Mike has always said that I've always thought was true is like whenever you have that coach that never played, it's hard to listen to them the same way, right?
Yeah.
And so, I just always, I don't know, it always bothered me when people would try to coach on stuff that was like a theory that they'd never actually tried it out or done it themselves. So whenever we have something new, like you were saying, I like to get in there, try it. And dude, I think part of it's because I miss selling, Mike. Like being an agency owner is fun, but I like genuinely enjoy selling. I like the process of it. I like the people, I like the crazy stories. Like I enjoy all that stuff. So I like getting back in there and having an excuse, I think, to sell a little bit, but also sometimes, people can really overcomplicate sales and it's not as deep as people make it a lot of times. So my goal usually is to get in, look at it and go, okay, what way can I make this as simple and replicatable as possible? And I always knew, and you've known me for, going on 6 years now. Like I always knew I wasn't the best salesperson, but I knew if I could simplify it for the client and then simplify it for my agents, make it scalable and repeatable. And I'm like, if I can sell something at a high level, I can teach a bunch of people to do it because I know I'm not the best at sales necessarily, but I can make a really replicatable system for everyone to be able to follow.
Yeah.
So to your point, whenever something new comes out, I want to get in there and see how I would do it and understand how I would be able to sell it. And I'm like, if I can sell it, then I know the majority of our agents can sell it too, because most of them are as good or better, probably better than I am at selling, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to dumb it down and make it simple. And that's the whole goal of every time I start messing with it is just to simplify and make it a followable, scalable process for everyone to be able to use.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense, dude. And I appreciate you thinking I went to college, but I did not. So no, I did not go to college.
I couldn't remember. I thought you didn't. I don't want to say that if you did and offend you, but
Well, I don't get offended, so I choose not to. I shouldn't say I don't. I choose not to get offended because Dave Anderson taught me that it's a choice. So as long as I choose not to get offended, you could never offend me. But no, I appreciate that you thinking. That's just maybe because I sound so smart. You thought I went to college, but no, did not. But
you're a COO of our company, I think. So it seems like someone would have gone to college, but
yeah, I'll have to get like an honorary degree from somewhere, But no, I mean it's a perfect point though. Like, and Sean's been like that since the day I met him. You don't teach something that you've not done. And hearing you say that, I remember Andrew Taylor did a lot of this too, building his agency, right? Like I don't remember the exact lead type, but we introduced something. And, something, it was new. It may have been a final expense, maybe even the instant internets. And we got a lot of pushback. Like, these leads are not as good as. So Andrew's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to get back in the field and I'm only going to use these leads. And he did it for a period of time just to show these guys, like, dude, you can do it, right? And I mean, it makes such a big, you see this with your people because they know that you're not just calling them because you think you can do it. You go, I've been able to have the success on these leads or through this platform, through virtual, through whatever, and now you can help them. So, man, that's awesome. But one thing I want to ask you about that, I feel like there's this misconception, Zach, where everything we do, it's so different, right? Like and it's part of why we've worked on this whole simplifying the retirement solutions because we always looked at it as, oh, it's advanced. I'm not ready for that yet. I don't know how to sell that product yet. It's like, dude, the sales piece of it's the same. The product may be different. Yeah, you may need some additional education on what the product is, but it's no different than if I'm selling mortgage protection versus final expense versus just the whole life versus a children's the sales piece is not much different, right? So I'd love for you to kind of talk about some of these common concepts, principles, whatever you want to call them that you're seeing, because you've done it all. You've done in-home sales, virtual, telesales. So can you kind of talk about what you're seeing? You sold annuities, IULs. Even now, you said we were talking the other day, and you're just doing a lot of IUL sales that, just so you know how, not just so you know, obviously helps your revenue, but it also just, you know how that process works so you can then help your agents. So what are you seeing through all these different sales techniques, if you will, platforms, products what are some commonalities?
Yeah, I think there's a few steps, like you said, that that stay the same no matter what, right? And again, with the simple retirement solution sales, annuities, IUL, stuff like that, it may be a 2-part close that you do, which actually is a good thing. You can use the Ask a Specialist tool. They'll make sure everything is built correctly. Like if you're new, I would definitely recommend doing that. And then they also, by sending it to them, there's a paper trail. So if anything ever came up with compliance, like, no, I sent it to these guys, there's registered financial advisors over there, they said this, like you have it all. You have a paper trail, which is good because it takes the majority of the liability off of you as the agent. So if you're doing some of the bigger cases, I recommend doing that for sure until you know what you're doing. But regardless of that, Mike, it pretty much stays the same, right? Like no matter if you're selling final expense or, you're selling someone infinite banking policy or whatever, right? In the beginning, you're going to introduce yourself, explain what you do, right? So, hey, my name's Zach. I have a life insurance license, but I do life insurance. I do retirement planning. I do, IULs, annuities, explain whatever depends on the appointment, but explain who you are, what you do, and who you work with. So I work with a bunch of different companies. My job is to basically, ask you some questions and figure out which company is gonna be the best fit for you and your situation. So you introduce yourself, right? And then the second thing is you connect with the client. So, figure out, Mike, hey man, why did you fill this out? What specifically stood out to you that you were looking for? I assume that, and if it's final expense, I usually go like, I assume you want to make sure you weren't going to leave a burden on someone. If you're selling a term, hey, I assume you want to make sure if you die that the mortgage is not a burden on your spouse or kids. Or if it's an IUL, hey, I assume, you're looking into this because you haven't set up anything for a tax-free retirement yet. So that part changes, like what you plug in changes, but the general, I assume you're looking for this, insert whatever lead type you're seeing, right? Tell me a little bit about that and why you're looking for that, and then let them talk and connect with them, right? And then the third thing is, set the structure for the appointment. This is what I'm going to do today. This is kind of the process I'm going to go through. Everyone's process is different, but set a good structure for what they can expect. And Mike, with the structure, I think it's important to go like, we're going to go through some questions. I'm going to help design a product based on you and your situation. I'm going to look at a bunch of different companies and pick the best one for you and your family. When we get done, I'm going to run some numbers. We're going to pick out whatever makes sense for you and your budget, and then we're going to do an application. Like it's very important no matter what type of sales you're doing, whether it's in person, telesales, on Zoom, whatever. You want to set the structure all the way through because, sometimes when you set the appointment, you go, I just need a couple minutes to get you the information. Sometimes when you first get them on the phone, be like, take a couple minutes to go through and figure out. So you want to go through and set the whole structure so that when you get to the end, they don't go, all right, Mike, hey, thank you for, the information. I appreciate it, bud. Like, I'll get back to you,
Right.
Because they may think that that's the natural next step if you don't level set and set the table the right way from the beginning. So those things all stay the same. And then, again, getting to the end, closing, right? If you've done your job the right way throughout the entire appointment, there's not really any cute closing track I've ever used, dude. It's just like, hey, based on everything we talked about, which one of these makes the most financial sense for you? And if you've done your job the right way, you shouldn't really get any objection there. And if you do, or if they're, going, maybe this one, maybe that one, I always tell them, hey, this is something, insurance company doesn't have enough money, right, Mike? So I don't have to pay this policy for 6 months, a year and a half, and then cancel it. So if you're not sure which one to go with, why don't we go with the lowest option, get that one in place. You have something going for yourself and your family right now. And then if we want to add more, down the line, as long as your health doesn't change drastically, we can add more. But we don't want you to pay, $2,000 to an insurance company and they keep the money. They have enough money. Let's get something that you and your family will benefit from.
Absolutely.
So I know I kind of went all over the place.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things that stay pretty much exactly the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, you did, but it makes sense. It was, we're going to introduce, let them know who you are because they got to trust you, right? Trust remains a key component to every sale, whether it's virtual, whether it's telesales, whether it's in person. Now, it may change as to, how easy it is. I mean, it's much easier to build trust face-to-face, right? I mean, virtual, it's probably a little more difficult than telesales. You're not seeing this person, so you may have to do a little bit more there, but the concept's the same, where they got to get you to trust you. And then, I think the big key early on is laying out that process. That's key, regardless of where you're selling this, whether it's virtual, in-home, telesales, they still need to know what to expect. Because like you pointed out, if I don't tell them what to expect and, 10 minutes later, Zach, I got my tablet out ready to fill out an application. They're like, whoa, I thought we were just talking about information today. That's on me.
Yeah.
That's not the client's fault. That's on me. And then the rapport, building that connection, and then finding that the void. Sean always used to say, like, it's like there's a river. We got to put a dam there. We got to stop the river from flowing. So what is that pain point? How do we plug that hole? And that remains true with every single way to sell. no matter how you're meeting this client. But you may have to do more or less of those. So, but the key is, you're right, keep those concepts, do the same thing. Let's not complicate it. Keep it simple. Let them know who you are, build the trust, set the expectation. And then, you know, I love how you said, like, there's no cute close trick. Like, it's just, sometimes you just have to make that decision. So I think it'd be my next question is, you know, I always looked at it as when I'm meeting with a client, Zach, I'm the decision maker, because if they knew how to make this decision, I wouldn't be there in the first place, right? Because you don't.
One thing I will say for closing, this is what not to do. Because I hear people train on this sometimes, and it bothers me. And I have to say it, like, if I go, hey, Mike, which one of these do you want to do? And you're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, why don't we just do one and see if you get approved? Just so everyone knows, that is not a sale.
No,
it's not a sale. That person's going to cancel, and it's going to mess up your persistency, and you might get fired if you do it too much.
Yeah.
I hear people do it all the time, and I'm like, dude, that's not a sale. And also, you know, I understand every once in a while there's extenuating circumstances where you have to post data policy, but like if they don't set up to draft right away, that's also not a sale. And
right.
like you don't go to the grocery store. None of our clients go to the grocery store and ring up all their stuff, and it's $132, and they don't go, sweet, sounds good, I'm gonna take this stuff home and then come back on the first and pay for it.
Right.
Don't do that, dude. So if they can't afford it, then you need to lower the price and figure out what fits their budget then. Because if they can't afford it on the 15th, they can't afford it on the 1st, and the policy is going to cancel. And that doesn't do you good as the agent or the client any good at all.
Right. No,
so
absolutely.
You want to make sure you're actually selling, not like fake trial closing. Maybe we'll see if it gets approved, and then wondering why they cancel and your persistency sucks. It's because you didn't actually close them.
Yeah. I never understood trial close. I don't know what trial. I just know I'm here to help the client to fill this need. Like, I don't have to trial close. We're just going to help the family. There's no try. We don't try. We just, like I never got that, you know? And I love, like, cause I've done it both ways, dude. I did it the wrong way for a while. The guy you're talking, hey, we'll just see if you're eligible. I think we've all tried that. And then I did it the way you were talking at the end, where, hey, I make the decision as to which one they're going to apply for, because I know if there's any ambivalence, it's either one, they don't like or trust me, or two, I made it too, or I didn't make it affordable enough. That stuck with me for years, dude. So I know if there's any hesitance on your part, I'm going, Zach either doesn't like me or trust me. And I think you could figure that one out pretty quickly. And the other one is the money. And it's like, sometimes you just got to listen. You got to pay attention. You can tell by their body language when you show them, when you talk about it. So, and then a lot of times, dude, how often do you see this sense of relief when you say that, when you go, hey, Zach, let's go with the lowest one for now. We always could get some more coverage down the road. If you're in this, we can figure something out. But right now you have nothing. So me covering half of the loan, your loan's $200K, we'll get you $100,000 in coverage. That's a lot better. Right now you have nothing. You die today, she gets nothing. We do this, you die today, she gets half the loan paid off. I'm sure she can work something out with the bank at that point, but let her go to the bank with nothing and see how they laugh in her face.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And like you said, if you do it that way, and I always would tell him, I'd be like, Mike, if you buy the top one, it's better for me. I get paid more.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this lower one so that your wife has something in place for when you pass away, for your funeral, or like you said, for the mortgage or whatever it's for. Right.
Yeah.
And I'd just be crazy honest with them. Like, dude, like I would even tell them, like, I make way more money from the top one, but it's not going to do you any good if you can't pay it after a year, because it's going to cancel. And then the insurance company gets to keep that money. They already have enough. Like, why don't we do what you can afford today?
Right.
And I think the more you can shoot people straight, the more they appreciate it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to run away when you say you get paid on. Listen, they know you get paid on the policy. Like, we're in commission-based sales. Like, I mean, come on. And I've heard people say, you know, well, I just, you know, tell them that I don't even get paid off commission. I just get paid to come out here. No, that's a lie. You go to jail for that. Don't say that. It's not true. And it doesn't help. And they know you're lying. Like, come on, dude. You're out there selling life insurance. They filled out a form. You go in there with your briefcase, your bag, like, hello, they know you're making commission.
Yeah.
But if you take care of the client and do it right, they don't care. But when you lie about it and make it a big deal, then they do, right? Then they go, he lied to me. He tried to say he only got paid for coming out. Like, hey, you got a setup where you get paid to go out the house. Tell me, because I'll sign up for that one too. That doesn't exist.
A lot of people.
Yeah. The whole agent force would. They'd love that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but it's like you said, shoot them straight. You know, that's awesome stuff, dude.
Honest with people, being honest with people, they'll just buy when you're super honest with them. You don't have to do anything cute. You don't have to lie to clients. Like, the more honest, direct you are, and just telling them that they need it for their family. And like you said, dude, I would tell them I get paid either way, but I don't get paid if you don't buy this. But I see enough people every single week.
Yeah.
If you don't buy, I'm gonna be okay. This is about you and your family, you know. So don't worry about me. Yep. I'll be okay either way.
The first time I heard it, speaking of Andrew, we should have him on too with you. He he was telling me about his return of premium clothes, and he's like, this is my favorite one because we all get paid. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, if you buy it, I get paid, right? And then if you get the one with the return of premium and you outlive your term, you get paid. And then if you die, she gets paid. Like, we all get paid. So this is the best option, you know? And it's funny, like when I first heard him say, I'm like, that's crazy you said it to your client. But I'm like, no, it's like you said, it's being honest and being truthful, shooting them straight to the point, you know? But so let's switch gears a little bit. So this is a sales piece, you know, TNL, we've really focused on sales. But one of the things that, you know, Sean kind of said to a few of us recently is like, dude, we need to talk about building, right? And I think at times we try to do it on this call and it became like an afterthought, right? Like I'd have Jan Zach, we talk for 20 minutes about sales and he last 3 minutes talking about some building stuff. But, and not that, I don't think building and sales should be separate. I think they go hand in hand. I think there's plenty of times when you're out there selling that you can spend your time recruiting, right? We drive a lot, you know, if you're meeting in the home or whatever, but there's so much time you can do it hand in hand. And I always love this, leaving a house, talking to a recruit, because I just left the house. Yeah. I just protected a family. So when you're on the other line going, hey, what is it that you do? I just go, well, what I just did was I sat down with this couple, helped them out with X, Y, and Z, and then here's my commission, here's what I'll make on the deal, and I do this 10, 15 times a week, like real time stuff, right? But so don't think I'm telling you should do them separate, but we do have a separate training call that we talk about building. So that's another reason I wanted Zach on today to talk about this. So this is every Monday, noon Eastern time, right? And it's the Bay Shop Builders call. It's a Zoom call, live Zoom. So it's open for questions, and we're maybe 3 or 4 weeks into this now. But if you could take a few minutes, Zach, explain to them what this call is, what they can expect, and let them know, I guess, some of the guests coming up over the next few weeks.
Yeah, no, and like you said, it's been good to dedicate a call specifically just to building a business. What I love about it so far is we have a bunch of different people on. So the first week, John Wetmore did it, I did it, Mark did it, Grady did it, and then the next 3 weeks is Frank Euphemia, Nina and Hayden, and Andrew Taylor, right? So nice. If you go through those 8 people, like those are all we're all very different, and everyone has different perspectives on, you know, how to build a business. But what we're really focusing on is teaching people how to build a business from day one and things you can do to build without having to spend any money, right? Because I think that's a big misconception, Mike, is that you have to have all this money and all this cash flow to start building a business. Well, we're like, no, this is what we all did when we had no resources, we didn't have integrity. Like, this is how we started building our businesses. So it's all very transparent. And what I love about it, and Mark was on last week, and he talked a lot about, you know, building a list and recruiting warm market. And John talked a lot about systems and stuff like that. Everyone has a different perspective, and everyone's made different mistakes. So, you know, all the people that have been on that call, and that's why I love talking to people like you, and, you know, like you mentioned, Andrew and others that have been here for a long time. It's like, I understand, like, what works is obvious. Like, tell me some of the mistakes you made so I can avoid those too. And I think everyone's been super transparent on there. Like, hey, this is stuff I did when I was building that did not work. You know, here's a few things that did work. But dude, for me, I think understanding the landmines to avoid is as valuable as understanding the things that work to help you build your business. Yeah. So it's every week. And like you said, it's live. So what's been really cool about it is there's been, you know, 500 plus people on the calls so far. And there's a lot of interaction going on, right? So I know when I did mine, I talked about, you know, the few notes and the things that I wanted to cover for the first 20, 30 minutes, and then left some time open at the end for Q&A and was able to interact with people and answer specific questions. And there was questions, you know, that are more advanced, like, hey, how do you manage a large staff? And then questions that were very, you know, like, hey, what should my pitch be the first time to a brand new agent? So I think whether you're someone who's already recruiting and starting to build a business, you should be on and attend. And if you're someone who's like, do I want to do that at some point? Like when I was new, Mike, I had no interest in building a business, but I still got on all the calls I could just so I could start learning. Cause I'm like, maybe at some point I'll want to do that. Yeah. Right? So I think even if you're in that camp and you're like, I just started selling, I don't want to build yet. Well, still get on, because you're going to learn a lot of useful things, and you're going to, you know, probably even see some stuff from some of the partners on there. Like, oh, that guy built it. Like if you watch mine, you go, that guy built a business, then maybe I should start building a business, because if he could figure it out, I could figure it out too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you say that about like just being ready. I was watching a podcast with Jay Shetty and Kevin Hart recently, and Kevin Hart was talking about being prepared, being ready. So, you know, one of the things he said was before he became a big comic, he knew he wanted to be this, you know, they call him like a rock star of comedy, right? He knew he wanted to be there, and then he's very smart dude, and he's thinking like, well, I'm not even ready to be there. And he's like, you know, what do you mean? Well, I don't have like, so if I get signed and I blow up tomorrow, I need to have 30 minutes of clean material in case I'm on a late night show or something like that. I need to have a short 8-minute, like I have to have all this stuff prepared for when that does happen. Kevin Hart was taking acting classes before he was even a big name comedian because he's like, I want to be an actor one day. And when that day comes, I want to be ready. Now, he was never even in the talks of being in any movies, and I think most of the people probably know him from movies before his stand-up, right? But the whole point was be ready before you're there. So to your point, you didn't want to build a business right away. You knew at some point you'd want to. But think about if you had, and this is the approach, Zach, 90% of people have. They go, well, I'll worry about building the business when it's time. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, dumbass. So when it is time, where are you going to get the knowledge from? Well, then I'll learn it. Oh, so when it's time, we're going to have to push that back probably like another 3 to 4 to 5, 6 months, right? Because you're going to need this time to now get the knowledge and all the stuff that you need to be. You're not ready yet. So why not plug in day one so that when that day does come, at least you're ready, right? You don't go to war and then go, oh, shit, where's the ammo? Like, we're out here, dude. We got the guns, but we got no ammo. We forgot it. We just figured once it was time to shoot, we would have it. But no, let's get ready. Let's get prepared so that when it's time to go out there, oh, now we're ready. Yeah, same thing here. So if you're not looking to build tomorrow, you should still get on Monday because that way, whenever you feel, whether it's a month from now, 6 months, or maybe it's a year from now, hey, now I'm ready to build. At least you've been plugged into these calls, and now you know what to do, right, dude? My daughter's playing softball. The season hasn't started yet, Zach, but they're practicing a few times a week. Well, why don't they just start practicing when the season starts? Well, how the hell are they going to be ready for the games? I mean, it seems so simple. Like I say it like that's stupid. I know, but y'all do it with your business, though.
Right.
So your kids can go practice prior to the game starting for weeks at a time, but you don't want to practice and learn and get the knowledge in advance, even if you're not ready yet. I mean, I would. So jump on it. Monday, noon. Is there a dedicated link to it that doesn't change? You want?
Yeah, it's fflbuilderscall.com.
There you go. fflbuilderscall.com. And we'll have the link here on the screen. We probably do right now. It's like magic. But join it Monday. Yeah. Monday at noon. Yeah, we do some post-production, so don't get it's not really not that good. But Monday at noon Eastern.
The thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike, but the other thing I was thinking about as you were talking is, and I've done this before, just like I've done the close thing I talked about before, where it's like, hey, let's just see if we get approved. Like, that's why I knew not to do that and how it doesn't work. But I've got to the place in this business a couple of times, and I try to like audit myself so I don't do this. But every once in a while, you're like, no, I already know all that stuff on that call. Like, I'm not going to get on, right?
Right.
And I started, getting on all of these calls, watching them, and I started learning stuff again. And so I think it's important no matter what you do, even if you're, the top salesperson, with FFL, like you should still get on the TNL so you can at least, you should get on this call so you can learn how to explain a sales concept better. Or maybe you pick up something new you can put in that can make you better, right?
Yeah.
But I think the second that you start going like, no, I have it all figured out, that's where you can get smoked in a business like this that doesn't require, a lot of capital to get started, doesn't require a ton of talent to get started. If you stop learning and growing, like there's always, and they talk about this in sports a lot, Mike, but there's always someone younger and hungrier that's coming to take your spot. Right. And I think that I have to always make sure like I'm still trying to learn things and progress so that I don't get, smoked by someone younger and hungrier to take my spot. Right.
Yeah. How much value are you bringing? It's like, I say this to staff all the time. Like how much value are you bringing in and day out? But you should be saying the same to yourself, right? Like how much value are you bringing to your agency if you're not plugging into things like that? Because, maybe you don't need it, but your people might, right? And then it also saves you time, Zach. If you get on these and you go, you know what, hey, that training that Brad Allen did a few weeks ago on annuities was great, and then you get an agent that calls you about annuities, you go, you know what, dude, watch this. Yeah. Instead of me trying to regurgitate what I got from watching Brad, how about you just watch it? And then we can talk about it after because you've already been on it, so you know what he said. It's like how because the whole goal is to scale this thing, right? You get to a certain level, and what got you, Zach, to being board member didn't get you to senior board member. There's things that you have to change along the way. So to think that you never have it, we don't all have it all figured out. If Sean doesn't have it all figured out and he goes to outside and finds ways to learn more and level up and he's running the company, then how could anyone in between have it all figured out? I don't know. The riddle of the year, I guess. Yeah, if you have that answer, drop that in the comments. I don't think you do. But anyway, well, dude, I appreciate you for doing this, and I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Don't miss the Base Shop Builders call on Monday, and don't miss T&L each week. I mean, these are going to be much more structured, much more intentional, because we realized that, we dropped the ball. We had too much stuff. We had a podcast. We had more podcasts than there were days of the week. Now we got True Talk.